Earlier today, I just thought of this subject, and it's a question that I've heard so many times, directed not necessarily at me, although sometimes at me. I mean, it's a question that my own kids have asked me. It's a question I've heard other autistic people ask each other in groups. It comes up enough that I think it's a fairly common question that at least some of us have, and that's why I want to talk about it today. This is definitely not a one-size-fits-all answer, but it is my personal experience as an autistic adult who is diagnosed late in life. The question is, do we seem younger? Do we like things that tend to appeal to people who are younger than our actual physical age? Are our interests geared towards what is generally considered normal, whatever that is, for younger people? This is probably something maybe that people feel more pressure towards when you're younger, because when you're a preteen or a teen, there's that pressure to fit in that is so very much there. I remember feeling it. I've talked about it here before, I still very much was interested in things that were considered much younger when I was a preteen and a teen, whether it was Power Rangers or dolls or horses. The things that I thought were fun and the shows that I wanted to watch were considered preschool or little kid shows and weren't really considered appropriate by my age group. But what really inspired this was when I was driving with one of our kids in the car, because, we used to have like date days where we would get to go out with our kids and we would do something fun, and we would try to do it like once a month, where either Paula or I would take each of the kids out. And sometimes this would happen more often than others. It didn't have to be big. Now when we do it, it's much smaller, where maybe we'll go through the drive-thru and get like ice cream at McDonald's and then go and drive around or something like that. Just spend a little time one-on-one out of the house by ourselves. Anyways, but I was talking with one of the kids in the car. Teacher call. I gotta take this. Sorry for that brief interruption. I ended up having a phone call that led to an impromptu Zoom meeting with one of the kids, with one of their teachers. I'm kind of out of breath from running all over the house for the last hour. Back to making this video though, because it's like an hour later. Also, it's much louder in this house right now. I was in the car talking to one of the kids, and I can't remember exactly what the conversation was about. I think it involved dinosaurs and Pokemon. And somehow the conversation turned towards growing up. And I can't remember exactly how we got onto the topic, but I remember saying that when I was a kid, always thinking that when I grew up, I would feel like a grown-up. That I thought there would be this shift. And that had never really happened. I mean, I'm older and I feel like I've learned a lot. I feel like my experiences have taught me a lot. There are definitely ways that I feel like I've matured. I mean, obviously, I've had 5 kids. Even just looking back at things that happened 5 years ago or 10 years ago, there are things that I totally cringe over. I mean, my memory, anxiety, autism, ADHD, that's a lifetime of decisions and things that I've said that I can cringe over. However, in a lot of ways, I still don't feel the way as a kid I thought being a grown-up would feel like, which I guess is odd because I have a lot of responsibility and I do a lot of grown-up things. I get everyone where they need to be. I make sure everyone's fed and dressed and taken care of. I guess I live what my kid mind would have considered a grown-up life. But I feel like my brain never caught up with that shift of you're grown up now. And of course, at that time, I didn't get into all that. I was just talking with this particular kid about liking things that were young for my age and not really feeling like a grown-up. And I said, you know what? One of the things that's really cool about being a grown-up is that when you're a grown-up and you like the same things you liked when you were a kid, no one really cares. No one makes fun of you. And a lot of times, other people think it's cool. Other people like those things. Other grown-ups remember the things that they liked when they were a kid, and they like them too, and no one makes fun of you anymore. And the kid that I was with stopped what they were doing and like looked up, and their jaw just dropped, literally dropped. And I was like, what? What did you just say? And I said, when you're a grown-up, no one makes fun of you about the things that you like, that like other kids your age would make fun of you. Like, I play Pokemon Go and I like it, and no one makes fun of me as a grown-up for liking playing Pokemon Go. And we kind of went back and forth talking about it for a while. But that conversation got me thinking, and all those other questions that I've heard also got me thinking. And the answer to the question, at least in my experience, is of the neurodiverse people, of the autistic people, and people with ADHD that I know, yes, a lot of us do have interests and maybe personalities that seem younger, kind of as abstract as that idea is, or that neurotypical people might consider younger than our biological age. I think it's funny because I think for a lot of us, probably when we were little, we had a lot of interests that were younger, but you may have gotten a lot of like the old soul comments, and it was easier. I know it was always easier for me to talk to adults when I was younger, but there are other ways that I definitely do feel myself getting older. For all you proprioceptive sensory seekers out there who are younger, be careful of your joints. They do get older when you get older. And if you've spent your life running into things being a sensory seeker and playing full contact sports like I did, like rugby, like fighting, you'll feel it when you get older. So be gentle with your head, be gentle with your joints and your back, and just be careful. Because just because you can't feel your joints like other people doesn't mean that you won't feel them later. And that's all I can say about that. That's what I tell my kids. I tell my kids to be so careful with their heads because, yeah, I guess that's kind of off topic and aside, but that's probably the main way that I definitely do feel getting older, much less of a sensory seeker than I used to be. So there is that. And my kids cannot believe that I was ever like they are. So if you've ever wondered if it's normal for other autistic people to feel like they're younger than their age, my opinion is yes. I mean, normal is totally a relative thing for all of us, I think. I've heard so many people ask the question. I've heard it talked about so much. It can't be a coincidence. And honestly, I really think it's a positive thing. I know in my case, it definitely helps me keep up with my kids. So anyways, that is it for today. If you like this video, we'd love it if you'd give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in all things autism, we'd love it if you'd hit subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.